Hey guys, welcome back to the Chaotic Kids channel, where I, Michelle, document my life here on YouTube as I try to become a full-time author, while also traversing the world with multiple personalities. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. But today we are going to be talking about January's goals and how I felt about the month, and moving into February and the goals that I have for February. So let's get into it. Hey guys, today is January 30th. First of all, I'm sorry if this voice sounds hard to listen to. I am currently sick. I don't know what I've got going on with me. I think it has something to do with the fact that last week I was kind of feeling a little depressed. I don't think that necessarily had anything to do with it, but like since I was depressed, I wasn't doing as much activity as I should have. So maybe my immune system was weakened. But then a couple days ago, I went to my sister's house, and my sister has 3 kids. Um, 2 of them are in school, one of them is in daycare. My sister works as a nurse. My brother-in-law, he works as a mechanic, so I see people all the time. And I'm just like, I obviously, since I lost my job, I haven't been socializing with people a lot. So I think it was just a whole conglomeration of everything kind of coming together. And then there was the ice storm, which we just got snow for, and I'm like, I'm okay with just getting sick. Yes, I sound terrible, but I relatively feel pretty good. Yeah, I feel pretty good. Like I'm able to still do work. But maybe that's just because I'm stubborn and pigheaded and like to do work even if I shouldn't be. But you never know. And then I told my sister about it, and she's like, "Thank good. Like I'm sorry you feel sick, but also like it's a good like her kids aren't sick yet." And I told her like my reasoning and stuff, and she's like, "That makes sense." But yeah, so I currently am sick. This is I'm planning. Sorry, I'm planning for this to be the only video that I record while I'm sick. Mostly because I'm like, I don't like listening to my voice. I don't want to talk all the time. But I will let you guys know that I am working on projects. I'm currently working on JJ's project. I'm working on editing it and moving it into then sending Act 2 to my editor. So before we get into JJ's story, let's get into talking about Shelly. So, if you guys do not know, I have 3 pen names: Grace, Shelly, and Maris. Maris kind of works in the background a lot of the time. She doesn't come out on this channel that often. Mostly because she doesn't want to. Like, she doesn't feel confident in herself because she does sound and look different than her body, and it hurts her a little bit. Um, but also, like, as a system, we're trying to just work on getting 2 pen names off the ground and kind of just working on that. Um, and we also told Maris, like, when we get to be 40, which we did push it back because originally it was 30, then it got pushed back to 35, and then it got pushed to 40. But, like, when we turn 40, we would like to get started on her world. If not, start earlier. But it just depends on how we work together as a system to flush out everything going on. But so Shelley writes our middle grade children's chapter books, which are those books up there. This month we primarily worked on getting book 7, which we had a proof copy of. We originally wanted this to be released back in September last year. Finances were tight, so we weren't able to do that. But this book is officially ready to be printed and published. We're not planning on publishing it until 2027, 2028 time. It depends on the money. But we want this book, like, we had this book ready and finalized for publication. We were doing this so then we could get ready to move into editing season 2, which are these yellow colors. And that'll lead up into writing season 3, because we have been having kind of troubles writing season 3. It's just how things go. But we got that done. So what we did was we edited it ourselves. Then we went through and listened to it on Word and made sure it sounded correct, kind of thing. So that is done. We also, on the Author Shelly page, which I have 2 YouTube channels, thinking about a third, but I'm not going to talk about that. Sorry. But so the Author Shelly page is a place for Shelly, the pen name, to or Shelly the Author / pen name, to solely work on her books and talk about it. And for the month of December into January, we read book 3, The Bugstopia PD, The Case That Goes Cold. This book is officially done on the read-through. If you want to go check out the read-through of the books, we've done 1, 2, and 3 so far. Hopefully in the month of February, we'll get to reading book 4. I'm not pushing it. If I sound like this, I'm not pushing it. But yeah, we finished the read-through, which we had to read from 7 to 16, so it took about half a month. We do 2 chapters a time, like 2 chapters of reading per video for that, and that was great. Yeah, pretty relatively good. And now we're going to talk about JJ's story, because like I said, we don't work on Maris's project. Even though Maris did have a day of work, but it wasn't as productive as she would like, because we were going through mental health struggles right there. But so JJ is our young, Christian contemporary coming of age storyline. I think it's actually a literary, Christian literary, I think. It's literary Christian, I don't remember how it goes. But it is a more literary book, compared to just, like, it's not a woman's fiction, because the character's, a male. But so this is basically a book with a character who has DID or some sort of dissociative disorder as he's coming to terms with his life, but also going through his spiritual life. I feel like I need to do a better job of spiritual life in it, but there's so much background information I have to do that I'm like, I can't just throw all this preaching stuff into it, you know? But so for JJ's story, I'm sorry, my voice is getting a little raspier. But so with JJ's story, I wanted to work on getting Act 2 done and ready to get sent to my editor. Act 2 is officially done. It was like 8 chapters long, I want to say. It went from chapter 13 to chapter 20. Chapter 20 was a written chapter. And then I took a little bit of a break because my editor hadn't got done with Act 1, which I wanted to get Act 1 done before, like, get edits from Act 1 before I moved into the edits of Act 2, just so I have coherent, like, everything flows together. But so I did, in fact, get my edits back from my editor. She said I had a lot of repetition. I did, I had switched my tense a lot, which I do realize I do that a lot, is switch my tense around. Not necessarily because it's just, I don't know, like, when I talk, I sometimes talk in present, past, sometimes future, I don't know. But I just, that's just my talking voice, so I'm like, it just makes sense for my voice to be, I don't know. But so we got the edits back from that. It cost us $20 to get the edits back. Edits aren't that bad. But we got that. We started working on chapter 1, and what our game plan is to work. This kind of goes into February goals, but our goal is to work from to work 2 chapters a day, with some days off. From Act 1, doing Act 1, moving into Act 2. Then once Act 2 is done, send it to our editor, while then moving into writing Season 3. Act 3. Sorry, Act 3. That's kind of what's going on with JJ. All relatively good. Yeah, Act 2 is pretty good. Like I said, I've been feeling pretty good this month, minus obviously this fact. And I'll let you guys know the word count currently that I have written is 33,517 words. A lot of those words, like, towards the end of the month, a lot of those words weren't, like, big word counts. Mostly because I was editing a lot. So I was editing book 7, then I started editing JJ's story, so it was just a lot of editing, so not a lot of words adding. Which makes sense, you know. I think, honestly, like, there's, like, I worked on an average, like, besides week 1, I've worked about 4 or 5 days, anywhere from 5 to 6 days worth of work, on my projects, which is good. And I think on average, like, per week, I do about 8.5 hours worth of work, a week, so that's pretty good. Also, another reason why my word counts numbers are so high is because I'm doing a lot of different word counts, which I'll go into when I get to my books, the books that I'm reading. But I'm doing a lot of words that I'm writing stuff, so I don't know. But for story, that's how it went. Projects, those are the projects I worked on. I'm going to take a little break because my throat's dry, and we'll go into the books that I've read and some marketing stuff, so I'll be right back. Okay, so those were kind of my goals for January. I wanted to talk about my books and marketing. Well, I guess, okay, before we get into the books that I read, I did want to say that I do want to do a lot better on marketing. Like marketing kind of this YouTube channel, but also marketing my books. Because as Bugstopia is out already, I do want to get into do more school visits. I had like 5 schools that I wanted to get in contact this month. I was not able to do that, mostly because I'm lazy and don't do it. But next month I would like to at least get one done, because school visits are kind of what is going to help get me off the ground and hopefully make more than like $100 a year. So that's kind of the game plan. But so we're going to get into why my word count was also so high. I guess there was also another project that I did, which are picture books, Christian picture books about different saints. I did do that under the Grace Kids pen name. I wrote 2, which was about 1,000 words. I think they're both pretty solid. With that, I would like to get them sent to, I would like to get them sent to, priests and other, like, spiritual people, like, religious people, just so then I kind of get, like, an idea if, like, it works and stuff. But anyways, the words that I'm, like, so I wanted this year to read more books, and actually read them on a regular basis rather than just being, like, read it for a week and then not read it for a month kind of thing. But so I have 3 books that I've been currently reading. I just like reading multiple books, because there's several of them. Like, there's one that is a more mental health focused book. There's one that's more spiritual and also kind of a fun read. But the third book is a fun read, and we'll kind of go into details with each one. So, first book I read is I'm reading is The Nocturnals. I'm on chapter 11, and I think there's 30 some odd chapters in it. I restarted this book. There's 33 chapters. I restarted this book this year. I restarted all my books that I'm reading, just so that I'm like, if I like it and stuff. But so this one I'm reading. This one is honestly a book that I'm reading for my littles. So if you guys do not know, I'm a system, hence why I have multiple pen names. And why they also were, like, their own people. But with this book is just mostly for our littles to read. We don't really journal a lot about, like, oh, this person is, like, we don't do, like, journaling and thought, like, in-depth thought process on it. So it's just a fun read that we are reading. The next book we are reading is a it's a story, it's a memoir about a local author who is talking about her spiritual journey. I'm pretty sure she wrote this whenever she was 60, if not 70. She might have been older. I don't know. But she's someone who recently passed away. I was reading this last year, but again, I started it over. I'm on chapter 17, and there's 38 chapters, I think. If I think I'm correct. Let me check real quick. Yeah, there's 28 chapters. Oh, 28, sorry. 28 chapters. I've read this, I think, 8 days this year. This month, at least. Should get this. My goal is to get this done in February, if not the beginning part of March. It depends on obviously, my health and stuff. But so with this book, I'm reading like 2 to 3 chapters at a shot, highlighting, taking notes on it. Like what I do is I highlight in the book. Then on the side I have a journal, like a little notebook that I'm writing all the notes, like being like, okay, so this day that I'm reading, this is something that I took away from this chapter, moved on, next chapter, and do that. But then also on Google Docs, I do have a fully fleshed out document that's like journaling, like, okay, this day I read this is what I took away from it, and go into some more like thoughts and more personal stuff going on. This is to hopefully help me make sure that I can eventually make other people's books. I would love to help those around me, kind of do ghostwriting for those. But like I'm pretty sure I showed you guys the two mental health. I mean, the book that I wrote for my grandma last year. I mean, that she gave to our kids for Christmas presents. It was basically telling her story to then pass on to our kids. I really enjoyed it. I want to do again this year, but do the kids' perspective to grandma. And hopefully after I get this one done for grandma, I would then like to pass it on. Like, not pass it on necessarily, but then do books for other not local authors, but local people, especially those who just have a story to tell. Not necessarily fiction stories, but like personal stories, you know. There is a guy I would like to do. He's in a nursing home, but he's really close to my dad, and I would personally love to just pick his brain, write about it, and then, you know, I'm not gonna sell the books because that doesn't feel right. It's not my story to sell. But you know, if he wants to sell the books, then he can be more than happy to sell the books. But I don't know. But I would probably just personally keep it, like, if he wants to give it to other people, he can give it to other people, kind of thing. He would obviously have to pay me for the work. But honestly, I would probably just I would probably just charge like $150 for the work, depending on the length of the book. So charge about $150 per the length of the book, and then just like for every book he wants me to print off, I would print it off on probably Barnes & Noble, probably, because they don't actually go on sale. But print it off on Barnes & Noble, then give him the books, or if he needs help delivering, like, giving them out to people, then he can do, like, I can help that. But yeah, it would be super easy, and I would just love to do it. Because, like I said, this lady did pass away, and I love, not necessarily listening to her story, but also, kind of dissect, thinking of how I don't know, being fascinated by her and how she thought about her faith and stuff, and her journey and stuff, and I found it really cool. Actually, a friend of mine is doing that something similar with her own story, and I would love to read that and really get an idea on, how she became such a spiritual person, and honestly, how she became such, I want to do the same thing for her, because she is such a big point in my life. If it wasn't for her and the people that I met at this local store, then I would probably not be where I am today with praying the rosary, reading the Bible, and stuff like that. It wouldn't have happened. Or if it did, it would have happened a long time ago. Way down the line and stuff. Excuse me. And the third book that I wrote, I'm reading, is A Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving book. I've been trying to work on this for, no joke, 3 or 4 years. This book is really in depth, just because it is talking about mental health. There are 17 chapters. I previously read 7 or 8 of them, but then I restarted it this year, and again, I'm doing journaling notes. This is some thoughts that I had, okay, this key point is interesting, and then I'm okay, then I write a reflection on it, send those feedback, send those ideas and thoughts to I send those things to my therapist. We talk about it and stuff. But this book is really hard to get through, just because it is huge, but also it is something that, I don't know how to word this exactly, but it is something that's kind of more personal, and what I do is I listen to it on YouTube. There's somebody who reads it, and I just listen to it, highlight it as I go, and then I just listen to one chapter per day, or when I read the book, and yeah, it's something interesting like that. I need to take another break. But we are going to go into February goals, because that's kind of all that happened in January. So let's go into February, talk about goals and kind of a spiritual life too. So let's get into it. Okay, so for the month of February, so I'm just hopefully this will be a quick little like quick thing because I don't want to talk a lot more anymore. But so for the writing, um, my main goals are to edit Act 1 and Act 2, and get them as finalized as I possibly can on this edition, and then send Act 2 to my editor. I would like this all done by the 14th of February. This gives me ideally 2 weeks, about 2 solid weeks, 2.5 weeks, to work and edit on JJ's story, to edit these 2 chapters, only to edit this 20 chapters of the book. Then on the 14th, send it to my editor. Then probably on, like, I think I said like the 18th, then work on starting to write Act 3. But I like each edition of each edition of JJ story, I would like each section that I send to my editor to get better and better and better, and as the story comes together, it becomes more together. I don't want to say that, but like gets more solid. Um, Also with JJ's story, I do like with JJ's story and Grace's the kid's pen name. My ideal goal is to eventually get these traditionally published, or at least get them picked up by an indie publishing house, like a Catholic indie publishing house. And to do that, I think I'm gonna send picture books first, and then be like, hey, if you guys like my picture books, you might like my young adult novels too. But I'm wanting to get JJ's story done with, sent to beta readers, sensitivity readers, kind of get an idea on how the scope is. Then send off some picture books to local priests, get their feedback on that. Then send the picture books to to Catholic publishing houses, and be like, hey, this is my series of Catholic saints. And if you like these ideas, this is kind of the expansion that I would like to do with the world. Because I try to be upfront with everybody. That's just how I am. But yeah, like the Grace Kids Pen Name is a brand. Ideally, I would have loved to have this self-published, but that's just not going to happen. Finances are tight, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do picture books on top of the Bugstopia books and on top of young adult novels. Like, it's not going to happen. But so that's kind of that. I would like to have the picture books be worked on Saturdays, but the thing is, Saturdays I would like to try to keep holy, keep holy the Sabbath day. That's just kind of what I want to do, because I've never really, like, when I take days off, it's just random, but I'm like, I would really like to keep Saturdays as a holy day, just because I go to church on Saturday, so it makes sense to have Saturdays as a holy day. Yeah, that's kind of the game plan there. But I'm also like, I feel like if I am doing research on different saints and writing those books, I feel like that makes sense. But with the saint books, I don't push it as hard, if that makes sense. And then with the Bugstopia books for Shelly, I want to edit book 8 and then send that off to my beta reader. She has not read this one yet. And like I said, I want Bugstopia to be as finalized as possible, so when 2028, 2027 rolls around, I can then publish them as quickly as possible. And we'll have to get the cover images, but that shouldn't take too long. But so that's kind of, and also with Shelly, I would like to start reading book 4 on the Author Shelly page. This is just the next book that I need to read. What I do with my readings is read 2 chapters, publish them on that video, and then I do 2 videos a week. So 2 videos a week, 2 chapters per video kind of thing. That's kind of the goal. Excuse me. I would also like to get into contact with one school. I have a stack of envelopes back there that have a book in it, and I would like to send them, like, give them to schools and possibly get into schools to do school visits. I'm not gonna write I didn't write out all the people, like all the schools. I just am like, get into one school. That's it. But yeah, so that's that. Then in reading, I want to continue those books, possibly get the local authors, and I'll probably get the local authors book done. That's probably the goal. And then more spiritual life, I would like to try to get to pray as many rosaries as I possibly can. I did have a conversation with God one day. Obviously, I didn't hear him back. Well, I might have heard him back. I just didn't hear it. I just can't remember. But I would like to try to pray 4 rosaries a day. I know 4 is a lot, so if I get 2, I get 2. But I would like to try to pray as many rosaries as possible. And I would also like to take a set time to do Bible in a year. I've been doing good on day 47, but hopefully for the month of February, I do it pretty consistently. This week, I haven't really been too good at it, mostly because I was at my sister's house. But I am getting back into it now. But I would like to do the Bible in a year. I would like to pray the rosary and stuff. But honestly, that's kind of all the goals that I have. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm sorry if you guys are annoyed by my voice. I am too. But tell me down in the comments down below what your goals are for February, how the month of January went and stuff. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Keep making fantasies come true, one story at a time. And I'll see you guys later, okay? Bye!